First question is, have you ever hired a private eye?
No, I would love to. No,
Uh, uh,
I'm going to find a reason to do it. So the next time somebody asks me that, I'll have a better answer.
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Shane Atkinson, the writer and director of Leroy, which debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival 2023 and has another screening on June 17th, 2023, before, I assume, hitting the festival circuit and then having some distribution deal later because it is a fantastic movie. I am very excited to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him right now. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll spend a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me. This is Shane Atkinson, the writer and director of Leroy, which debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival 2023. It is a fantastic movie. It is a wonderful kind of feel good coming of age fit. No, actually, it's a dark comedic like heist mystery intrigue type film. I really enjoyed it. It was a big surprise, and I'm very excited to talk about it. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Happy to be talking to you.
Of course, of course. So I guess the first question is Leroy an actual city? Is that is that any significance to you?
It's not an actual city. I wanted it to be a fictional place. The my original idea for a title was Leroy, Leroy, and I looked it up, and it turns out that's a real place. And so I didn't want it set in a real place. And so I guess maybe I'm not very creative because my big solution was to just change one letter and call it Leroy. So that's where the title comes from. But it's not a real town.
Whatever gets you around any sort of trademark issues is all good. I love that. And I do like, no, I like that it feels like it could be a place. Like that definitely sounds like a city that you could have in Texas or the Midwest, wherever this is actually set. And it definitely feels like a real place. Like it feels like a town that is kind of dying, set in its way, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah. So we shot in New Mexico for a variety of reasons. It made sense to be there, but I spent a lot of time touring around West Texas where it's set. Just just uh, just rented a car and spent like a couple weeks driving around, just visiting towns and talking to people and trying to soak it in. So we were able to go there for a few days as a second unit just to get a few pickup shots. But I have a lot of family that come from small Western towns like these, and they were a big inspiration. It was important to me to set it in a place like this, and my wife's from this tiny little town in Wyoming. And as I was writing it, and as we were looking at locations, I was realizing, it's like this place in her town, or it's like this place. I realized that I had maybe unconsciously been, trying to recreate or pulling from these different places that I had been. And so, yeah, it was important that the town itself was a character in the story.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Pulp, from what you know, I hope you were also writing the Great American Novel while you're doing this, because this sounds like a wonderful journey of self-discovery as you're exploring the American Midwest, trying to scout locations.
I definitely took a lot of photos. I do have quite a collection of photos from the trip.
And so where did this story come from? Like it's such a, I don't know, it instantly grabs you, but it's such an interesting kind of like twisting, turning story of, both a family and this overall mystery and some aspects of dread. So where did this come from?
I had another script that for years I was trying to get made. I had wrote with the idea that it would be my first feature, and it just would kind of start to go and then it would fall apart, and then somebody new would come in and we'd get a little bit of money and then we'd lose the money. And so it just like after a lot of starting and stopping with this other project, I got a little frustrated, and so I set it aside and I just wanted to write something fresh and new. And so I just sat down and wrote this script, and I kind of didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't want anyone asking about it. I just wanted to, after these frustrating experiences, just write something for me, write something that I was excited about. That was my sense of humor. So I just kind of sat in a room for a few months and emerged with this first draft of Leroy, and, hoped that somebody would be interested. And I started sending it around a little bit, and thankfully found some producers who were excited about it and wanted to help me make it.
That is awesome. I wish I could just like put my head down, decide to do something, and come up with just a masterpiece. That is fantastic because I love this film. It was really, really good.
Well, that's very generous, and there's definitely a lot of bad ideas that were discarded along the way, but thank you for saying so. I appreciate it.
And I one of the things I loved about this film is the cast. Like, how did you get this cast involved? I mean, John Magaro is amazing in it, and I love him as an actor. And then Steve Zahn is just such a nice kind of like comedic through line of this movie. He just really kind of ups the mood whenever he's in there. So how did you get them involved and everyone else?
Yeah, yeah, we got really lucky with those two. Our casting director suggested John. I had seen him in a bunch of stuff and loved him. The stuff that I'd seen him in was very different than this.
Mhm.
And so he wasn't the first person that I thought of. But right around that time, First Cow came out, and I watched First Cow, and he was just like phenomenal in it. And I think my vision was expanded, and I realized that, he would actually be really terrific in this world, in this role. So he's who we cast first. And he's absolutely phenomenal in the movie. And then we wanted to find someone who would pair well with him, because that relationship between the two of them is really the focus of the movie. And we needed to find someone who could play that Skip role, but also who would really work well and have a different energy with John, but could really blend with him really nicely. My wife is actually the one, just making lists and trying to think of people who we might possibly go out to. And my wife suggested Steve, who I absolutely love. And as soon as she did, I was almost embarrassed that I hadn't written it for him with him in mind. It was such a no-brainer. He was so perfect for it in every way. And, we sent it to him and just got really lucky. He was interested. He really liked John. He had also just seen First Cow and loved it and wanted to work with John. And so, yeah, we got the two of them on board, and, and then we're able to get a lot of other great people, Dylan Baker and the rest of our cast, who love John and Steve. I think we got lucky in just casting people that other actors wanted to work with. So other actors saw the other people in the project and were excited to work with them. And so we really got a really terrific cast together from top to bottom. Really, really lucky and happy to be able to work with them.
I mean, yeah, luck is only part of it. I mean, I'm sure the script really drew them into, and I also love First Cow. I saw it in a really horrible screening. Like the bit rate was all bad, so it was really pixelated. And I still just remember John's character so much, even though he looked very blocky in the movie itself. Like it was a phenomenal performance. And this is a very
Yeah.
different one, but also has a lot of those like very humanizing, sympathetic aspects that you got in First Cow also.
Yeah, he's terrific. He can do anything. He's a really terrific, amazing actor.
And you mentioned before that this script kind of had your sense of humor. I was wondering, like, this film kind of has to balance comedic aspects with like kind of a darker through line of the overall, I guess, crisis or overall antagonist in the film. Was that the script, or was that partly the kind of the portrayal by the actors? Did they insert comedy where they could? Was it some combination of the two? How did you kind of balance that and kind of make it come through on the screen?
I mean, it's definitely like, it's a hard one to explain to people, because I feel like it's a very narrow line to walk.
Mhm.
This is my first feature, but I made a lot of short films, and they're all sort of in this same tone. And if you kind of go 1 degree one direction, then it's just very silly and over the top. And if you go 1 degree the other direction, then it can be very heavy and not funny at all. So, I definitely wrote a script that was trying to ride that line between comedy and drama. And then, of course, it all just depends on the actors and what they could do. So, finding people who could navigate that, who could kind of weave in and out of those moments of, kind of more absurd moments, and then darker and more dramatic moments. Like, that was probably the most important thing to me when casting the film, is just people who could, who I could trust and rely on to deliver that material in the way that I intended it when I wrote. And so, that's a big reason why I wanted to work with this particular cast. And that's, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about the tone, but it's something that we talked about in our initial meetings, and I knew that they really got it. And that's why I wanted to work with these particular actors.
For sure. No, definitely. I think that they did a fantastic job. Now, I know we have very limited time. I'm going to switch to, I call it the lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the film. You can feel to pass on any of them. I will not be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
I'll do my best.
First question is, have you ever hired a private eye?
No, I would love to. No.
Uh,
I'm going to find a reason to do it. So the next time somebody asks me that, I'll have a better answer.
Track me down, track me down. Have that be your reason. Have you ever secretly followed someone? Not maybe not for nefarious purposes, maybe for fun. Just have you ever like secretly tailed someone?
Maybe just to like short distance, just to like startle them or scare them or something. But no, I think I'm probably like the Skip character in the movie. I don't think I would be especially good at
But he ends up being surprisingly good, right? So maybe you'll surprise
it.
yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
This movie involves carrying a lot of cash at certain times. What is the most cash that you have ever carried on your person? Make sure to stay safe.
You know, I for something for the and during production for the movie, I had to get cash out. It wasn't like a ton of cash. It was $2,000, but I had to, for some reason the banks weren't open, or my we shot in New Mexico and my bank wasn't there. So for some reason I had to get it all out of an ATM or various ATMs
Oh wow.
because they wouldn't let me pull it. So I had $2,000 in 20s, which isn't that much money, but in 20s it felt like a lot of money. So that's probably the biggest stag of cash that I've ever had on me.
No, for sure. And for an indie film, right? That could be a big part of your budget. It's
Yeah, yeah, I
if you lose that,
definitely would be sad if I lost it. It would not
yeah,
have,
yeah,
would not have gone well.
no one can eat for 2 weeks. Sorry, everyone. So, and the last question is, do you have a cowboy hat?
I own a number of Stetson hats. Yes,
Do you rock them regularly? Is that part of your normal wardrobe?
it's a normal wardrobe. Yeah, yeah. I'm not wearing it today, but yeah, I have I do have a few John B. Stetson winter and summer hats. I do.
Perfect. So after this interview, put on that hat, grab a wad of cash, go hire a private eye, just do all these things and kind of recreate the wonderful movie that you've just made.
I'll give it a try. Thank
So,
you.
so the film is debuting at Tribeca 2023. You are out promoting it, getting the word out. I imagine it will run the festival circuit, and you'll keep kind of promoting it, getting it a full distribution. But I'm sure you have other stories in mind. Are there any other things that you're working on, or are you just kind of focused fully on getting this film out before you kind of start your next project?
Well, the one nice thing, if there is a nice thing about taking so long to get your first feature made, is that I've had a lot of time to write. So I've got a few other scripts that I've got, and a few other that I'm working on, and so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, it goes well enough that I can make something else, and I've got a few other things in mind.
Fingers crossed as well. I love the tone. I loved how you balanced the dark humor and the comedy in this film. So I can't wait to see what comes next from you. But I am very excited to see where this movie goes. It is Leroy, debuted at Tribeca 2023. I imagine it'll hit a couple more festivals and then get a distribution later this year. Fingers crossed, because it is a fantastic movie. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks.
That was Shane Atkinson, the writer and director of Leroy, which debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival 2023. It is a witty, darkly comedic mystery that has just a fantastic style, a great cast, and just a really good balance of kind of humor and horror. It is a really good movie. I loved it very much. It was a big surprise for me. And I can't wait to see when it gets a wider release. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.